Yeah, I like the idea. As you said, there are a lot of towers, like how you called it, economic temples.
Yeah.
And I think there would be enough place for a peace tower.
Yeah, just one.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. The next big project you are working at is the, how you call it, the Nonagon.
Yeah. Yeah, the Nonagon.
Would you like to tell a little bit more about that?
Sure.
Project?
This is a very. I love this project. This is for all my friends in the USA. I mean, I'm one of those, you know, kids that grew up in the 60s, 50s, and we used to love the USA, you know, and I want to go back to that time when we could trust the Americans and love them.
Yeah.
I'm a romantic old chap, and I remember as a little boy when Kennedy was shot, and, you know, we really grieved this. And what America has now become under Trump, this divided, civilized, uncivilized nation doing civil wars and stuff, it's a nightmare. So anyway, why is it like that? I think it's because America chose the path of militarism, thinking that would buy security and peace. And, you know, under successive presidents, they've got entangled in so many wars, it's just a joke. They pumped trillions of dollars into so-called peace for Afghanistan, and it's not brought peace, it's brought chaos, mayhem. And I think the Americans have poured, I don't know how many trillions of dollars into the deserts of Afghanistan. You know, I mean, I've got loads of Afghan friends and students. I could have brought peace in Afghanistan with $10,000 and just organise a conference and we get a peace treaty, you know, instead of trillions for the war machine. So I think America's love affair with militarism has reached a dead end. This is my analysis. The symbolic building where this is all, the temple of war capitalism, is the Pentagon. This giant five-sided building on the Potomac River in Washington. It was built at a time when America was in, you know, need of it. It was authorized under Roosevelt. It was built, funded, and it's a giant five-sided building. But I think its days of usefulness are coming to an end. You know, the Pentagon cannot solve the problems that either America is facing or the world is facing. I mean, I'm a great fan of John Dee, who was a great peace magician in Elizabethan England. He used the Pentagon as a magic symbol, but he wanted it for peace, right, as I do. So we need to put a new floor on top of the Pentagon, and that's called the Nonagon, which is a nine-sided figure, named after the, well, 9 is a magical number, as I've explained in my book on religious mathematics. It represents the 9 months of the womb, the baby, it's the 9 muses. Everything really important we have to do in life takes 9. And 10 is the return back to the beginning, that's the birth, the new birth at a new level. But it's 9 that is the labour, you know. So having a Nonagon on top of the Pentagon would be dedicated to peace. It would house the US Department of Peace, which many senators have been calling for. And it would, its job, the Nonagon's job, would be to solve conflicts in countries abroad, to mediate conflicts, to fund development projects which both parties can get involved, you know, in working on together. So, I mean, its potential is enormous, and it would be up to the American people to design it, to build it, to get the right architects to design it. What I've done is created the Leonardo da Vinci Peace Prize, which I hope will be awarded here in France at Amboise, where he died, because the idea came to me on a pilgrimage to Leonardo da Vinci's burial place in Amboise. And, you know, he had to work for the military in his day. Great artist, but he was forced to make cannon and bombs and invent the machine gun and the tank and the submarine. And so many geniuses like Leonardo now are having to work for the military in Russia, China, America, Britain. Because war capitalism insists that's, you know, that's the way. Well, I want peace capitalism to flourish. I want peace socialism to flourish. I want a harmony between capitalism and socialism premised on peace, and the Nonagon it would have a funding stream equal to the Pentagon. At the moment, academics, mathematicians, they all have to go work for the Pentagon to get paid. Well, that should stop. You know, me and Leonardo want that to stop. We want the Nonagon to fund people to think peace, to work out how you can solve a conflict like Nagorno-Karabakh, so that the Azeris and the Armenians all have dignity. I mean, it's actually quite simple. You have a sort of dual citizenship thing. You don't have to like kill each other. So it would be political theorists like the guys in Zurich. The Swiss Foreign Ministry is funding people at the University of Zurich, where Einstein used to work, to do interfaith peace mediation stuff. So those kind of programs would be funded by the Nonagon to solve these conflicts. And that to me is a much better investment of American money than pouring trillions into war, you know, which is it benefits nobody apart from the owners of the factories.
Yeah.
Okay, that's the Nonagon project.
All right.
Yeah.
And so we have two, and there is a third one, I guess, and it's about the Golden Gate.
Yes.
And, yeah.
Yes, this is in some ways the most ambitious. If you thought those two were ambitious, just wait for this one, right? I don't think I've told you about this one.
No, you
Okay.
haven't? No.
Right. Well, you've only been here a couple of weeks.
Yeah.
So. Yeah, the Golden Gate project is very dear to my heart. It came to me when I was in Jerusalem. I love Jerusalem. I've been there several times. It's obviously the mother city of Christianity and Judaism, and it's very important in Islam. And it's just such a beautiful city. I love it. And when I went there, I walked all around the walls, and I came to the eastern wall in the old part, which enters onto the Temple Mount. On this Temple Mount was the original temple, and that's long gone, and now it's got the Al-Aqsa Mosque, which is a Muslim mosque, and it's got the Dome of the Rock, as it's called. It's this ancient rock, which is where Abraham is supposed to have tried to sacrifice his son, was prevented at the last minute. So it's very sacred to all three religions. In the eastern wall is a beautiful gate, very ancient, huge type thing, like a processional arch. But it's all blocked up, and it's got breeze block type things in it. And when I was there, I thought, well, that's a bit weird. Why can't we go in, you know? And and then I read in the guidebooks, it's been blocked up since the 1560s by order of the then Ottoman Sultan. Why? So I researched it, and I discovered it's blocked up because that's where the Messiah is going to come in at the end of time and do the Last Judgment. And that's a real nuisance to any totalitarian ruler like a sultan. The last thing you want is a Messiah coming and doing judgments, right? Okay, so that's why it's blocked up. And that to me is a symbol of how secular rule blocks spiritual wisdom. Okay. So what I'm saying is, let's open this gate. Let's get the spiritual energy, the chi of the planet, moving. Now, there's a problem as to who will come in, who's the Messiah, right? And that's a huge, interesting field, Messiah studies. We read today about Benjamin Creme in the Theosophical tradition, said Maitreya was coming, and then he never quite showed up. You know, like the Buddhists have their Messiah, he's called Maitreya. The Zoroastrians have theirs, he's called the Seishant. The Jews have theirs, who's going to be the Messiah, son of David. They don't know who it is yet, but every now and then they think it might be this guy or that guy. The Christians have Christ, of course, which means Messiah, so by definition. And he's going to come back, according to Christians. And in Christian tradition, he comes back in through that gate. That's where he comes in at the Last Judgment. And then the Muslims actually accept Christ as the Messiah. That's fine. But they say Christ needed a backup, which was Muhammad. Because Christ was really nice and loving and forgave everybody. But actually God wanted to say, enough is enough, guys, stop being naughty. So sent Muhammad with his message, the Quran, which is like a footnote to the Bible, effectively. And in my commentary on the Quran, I've explained exactly what that meant. Okay, so we have, and then we have others. We have the Baha'is say that their Baha'u'llah was the Messiah. We have the Ahmadiyya Muslims say that their founder was the Messiah. And then we have Krishnamurti, who was a great, theosophical mystic. And he was trained to be Maitreya. And he said at the end of the day, he said, look, we're all Maitreya. We're all the Messiah. Don't fixate on any one person. Find it in yourself. So there's a whole conversation going on. What I'm saying in the Golden Gate project is, let's open the gate and let all the religions come in at once in a procession. Christians, Buddhists, Sikhs, Hindus, pagans, theosophists, everybody, and claim the space for peace dialogue. And on the Temple Mount, let's build a peace tent, as I call it. And I'm trying to get architects to design the space, which would be a tent because that's symbolic of impermanence. And the first Ark of the Covenant, carried around by Moses in the desert, was in a tent type structure. It's not time to build a temple yet. We're not in peace enough as a planet. I know some Jews want to build their next temple, but that would be a sort of provocation to God, I think. God's quite touchy on this matter. I think let's just build a tent, be humble, and let's make it like a beautiful space where pilgrims can come from all over the planet, talk about peace, share a coffee, have a little meditation prayer area from all faiths. You're a pilgrim, you are en route to Santiago de Compostela.
Yeah.
You've walked, was it 500 kilometers earlier this year?
Yeah, even more, 600 from Berne to Le Puy-au-Velay.
Right, so you did 600 kilometers on foot.
Yeah, I did.
That's very impressive. Well, okay, so you might, in a few years, if we get this the Golden Gate open, you could walk there. Take a bunch of people from Berne, where you have an interesting house of religions, don't you? A sort of faith thing. What is it in Berne you've got there?
Yeah, it's called the House of Religion, and I think it's unique in Europe and maybe over the world, I don't know.
Yeah.
And it's a house where there are like a lot of religion in one house, as there is a mosque in it, there is a Hindu temple in it, a church, Sikhs are there also, I think.
Okay.
And also other religions.
And there's a synagogue there as well?
Yeah, I think there is a synagogue.
Yeah. So they all share the same, but they have their different parts of the building.
They have, the building is like they have different parts. It's like, one is the Hindu temple, one is the church, and so on. But there is also a place which is called the place of the dialogue, and which is open for everybody. And the idea behind this is that we can all live together, and it's important to speak with each other, and we can learn from each other and
right.
Get on.
No, I love that model, and you've told me about this. So, in a sense, the Golden Gate project is about creating something like that on Temple Mount, in an informal tent-like structure. And pilgrims from all faiths would be welcome. And it would obviously have to be quite security conscious. You wouldn't be able to come in the gate without like your passport, and you'd be scanned for carrying bombs and all this stuff. I think it's only going to be feasible to be actually done when we get an independent Palestinian state as well, that could co-sign the agreement to reopen the gate. The Muslim community that run the Temple Mount are called the Waqf, they'd have to agree. There's nothing in Muslim theology that they wouldn't agree to peace and a peace tent. It's not impinging on their space at all. And then within Judaism, the Jewish authorities of Jerusalem would have to agree it. And again, it's not exactly the temple they want, but it would be a step towards. And surely, if we can get that open and get discussions about peace going, pilgrims could come from all over the world, Buddhists from Sri Lanka or Hindus or whatever. I think it'd be amazing to have those dialogues going on. And surely that's what Solomon and David and the people that first built the temple in Jerusalem would have wanted, which is all about peace. Solomon means the ruler of peace. Jerusalem is named as the foundation of peace.
Yeah.
So let's reclaim Jerusalem as a peace centre. That's what the Golden Gate Project is about. And let's externalise the Messiah within us all. And then we can argue about, who's the real one, because that's like pointing to a wave and saying, where's the real particle? We're all one wave, it seems to me. And we should work together. So that's the project, the Golden Gate.
No, really
Yeah.
interesting. So we heard all three projects. The next question is about why do you think they are right now, in this time, important?
Gosh, I mean, I've had these ideas for a long time and I've been working away, I keep stuff on the back burner. I think it's the COVID thing that's really made me, and Brexit, it's seeing the ruthlessness of war capitalism, stealing my country. It's just cheeky. And I mean, I'm still not 100% convinced that this COVID thing isn't an escaped thing from a military bioweapons lab. I don't think the world's been told the truth. A bit of my intuition is telling me that that's possible. And I think that's absolutely shocking. So I want to fight back against the military establishment that thinks this is okay for this planet, right? And if it's not a leak from a bioweapons lab, then it's a leak from nature having a real go at us. I know humans are naughty and we've been cruel to nature, but I think that we deserve to earn our right to still live in peace on this planet. And for that we have to clean up our act. And therefore the Nonagon is cleaning up the Pentagon and all its nonsense. The World Peace Tower is saying to all these economic, financial temple types around the world, look, peace is so important, you should fund it. You should invest in peace. You should take it as seriously as your money scams, And the Golden Gate is saying to the religions of the world, look, stop having your Messiah wars. Let's do the work, the one work, And I'm sure that all the religious leaders of the planet would honour this and realise that's the genuine ones, right? So, and it's because of this crisis we've lived through in 2020 that I'm now saying to the world community, let's do it. Let's do these three. Let's just get on with those. Let's try and do them in 2021. Because that would be amazing. It would be such a signal of hope. And as a teacher, I'm a great believer in hope. All my lessons when I was teaching in schools and universities, I would try and give the students hope. I'm a realist, but I'm an optimist. These are doable. And they would really transform the way people think and feel about being here on planet Earth. I mean, I would love to go and visit America when they built the Nonagon and by the way, there'd be a roof peace garden. The idea of the Nonagon is there's a garden on the top where people can go and meditate, and it's beautiful. You get great views over Washington. How that would transform the feeling that Americans have about themselves and how we feel towards Americans. I'd love to visit. Likewise in India, if they had their peace tower, they'd feel so proud of this. It would be their tower of peace to the world. I'd love to go and visit it. And the Golden Gate, well, I mean, keep me away, I'll be there. Because it would just, again, we look at Israel, Jerusalem, Palestine as sort of insoluble problem. And every day there's someone shooting some Palestinian boy with a rubber bullet, and it's a nightmare. So if we could do that, the Palestinians would be so happy, the Israelis would feel secure. Christians, Muslims and Jews all over the planet would give each other a big hug. What's wrong with that? So that's why we've got to do it. Yeah.
Thank you very much. We had a lot of subjects, really interesting. To end, I want you to give the opportunity to, if you just want to add something on your broadcast, you have now the chance.
Okay. Well, it's St. Genevieive's Day here in France, January the 3rd. It's a day dedicated to St. Genevieve of Paris. And she's a wonderful saint. She was buried eventually in a church which became the Pantheon, which is where they bury the great heroes of French culture and civilization. And she was a simple woman, a deeply spiritual person who used prayer and fasting to avert the invasion by the Huns, which was going to destroy Paris. I think we could learn a lesson from St. Genevieve today, all of us, around the planet. I'd invite people to join me in my weekly fasts every Sunday for this coming year. I'm going to keep fasting until these 3 projects are actualised. And I'll keep my daily prayers going, and I welcome people to join using my... Can I just have that book? So I use this book, the Universal Calendar of Saints and Sages, because I think it's time to actualise the wisdom of all the saints and sages of humanity. In effect, this is the guidebook to the Golden Gate Project, or the Universal Peace Tower, or even the Nonagon. What I'm saying is, instead of fighting over who's a better saint than who, let all the saints collaborate, and the sages, so the intellectuals, the scientists, the mathematicians and stuff. You know, peace is like the most complicated mathematical puzzle that any... It makes the Manhattan Project look like child's play. But it can be done, but only if we work together. And that can only come if we do the Saint Genevieve approach, which is using prayer, which means tuning into our highest possible intellectual and spiritual intelligence, and receiving then the divine download of the cosmic intelligence, which we call God or Yahweh, whatever name you want to use, Allah. That's the cosmic mind that created the universe. We're all just little bits of that, but we can download if we use prayer to bridge. Fasting helps because then you focus, you don't have to worry about food, washing up all the time. You just are focused on the spiritual and intellectual work. And at least one day a week. I mean, Muslims do it every month, Ramadan, for a whole month. I prefer to spread it out over the year. But it's the same concept. So I think if we use Saint Genevieve's tactics, that's the 3rd of January tactics, yeah, we can't, you know, fail but win this. Because the sort of demonic forces we're up against, the war-capitalist stuff, are fundamentally morally ignorant and not very clever. You know, and can be redeemed. I mean, I'm not sort of declaring war on demons. I'm saying let's educate them. You know, as Saint Genevieve did when she went out and managed to avert the catastrophe of the Huns coming through just love and prayer and fasting. So that's my final little message. Okay.
All right, thank you, sir.
There you are. There's the book. You're enjoying exploring that.
Yeah.
Right. Well, thank you so much for coming and being here from Switzerland. It's a long journey, and I hope that once the pilgrim routes are open, you'll be able to go on to Santiago de Compostela.
I hope so.
Time.
Yeah.
Okay. Shalom.